Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you again so much for coming, and I'm really hoping that um, these little mini series sessions that you're being able to see on here are giving you some really good ideas for that when you come back in the fall. Um, we're hoping to just do a lot more of these, even just kind of throughout the year as topics come up and whatnot. But this particular session is called Sweet Stuff with Google Sites, and you might be able to see on the screen there is a bit.ly link, and that is actually the link to the session. So you can kind of follow along there. And my name is Paul Dietrich, and I'm part of Monterey Bay Q. And so we'll just kind of jump right into Google Sites. So the first kind of question that really kind of pops up is, what is Google Sites? And there's a lot of different Google things that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of people don't know about Google Keep, for example, or even like Google Tasks, or even like that Google Experiments website, which is actually really cool. Google Sites is it's a little bit more well-known, but it's really also hard to find educators that really use it. And so a big question of what is Google Sites? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a website building tool. But I think, and it's a gut feeling, I don't know for sure, it's a gut feeling, but I think a lot of teachers don't necessarily start at Google Sites because when they think website, they think coding or I don't know how to make a website. I don't know about all this domain stuff, or I didn't even know about what a domain is. Maybe that doesn't even cross their mind. But what's nice about Google Sites is that, well, back in the day, it's what we called a WYSIWYG. It's a what you see is what you get type of site. And nowadays it's more referenced as like a drag and drop. So it's actually very simple to make a Google site. And it's something that's just really, really useful to keep parents engaged, to keep students, and everything that you have literally as for like class materials, it's very simple to keep organized as well. So let's see, I'm gonna make sure I have my windows proper here. Okay. So basically here's the kind of general overview of what we're going to be doing today. So we're just going to have a very quick overview of the sites and the different features. There's a small handful of features that you can actually add to your Google site, and then maybe some helpful ideas for what you can do to your own Google site to help keep everyone organized, to help both students and their parents also keep on top of everything in terms of keeping everything up to date as well. Okay, so we're just going to dive in. So essentially what we're going to do is, let me get this part set up, is if you go to sites, if you just type in, I'll just type it in here, historically, if you just go to sites.google.com, that's how you get to Google Sites. And if I click on it here, it might default me to the new one. Yep, it defaults me, and I'm going to get there in just a second. Historically, and usually if you've gone to sites for the very first time, this is the old look. This is the original Google Sites. And they've done a lot of things to update that now. So it used to be you just click over here and click on create. They had like a small list of templates that you can choose from. It was okay, but they've made a lot of improvements, which is really cool. So once you go to sites.google.com, on the left-hand side, there's a button that says New Google Sites. And this is actually something that Google Groups is also doing too. Google Groups used to be this really cumbersome site, but they actually have a new interface now, which is really cool. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and check it out. So I'm just going to click on New Google Sites. And this is the new interface, and it's so much more appealing. It's so much more. It's just easier to look at. So normally for you, this bottom part here will be blank, but if you don't want to start from scratch, kind of just like Google Docs has, they actually have a template gallery. So they have blank. That's the start just from scratch. You have a class if you want to make a portfolio type of site. If I click on template gallery, they have, it's a little bit limited, but they have at least the beginnings of different types of sites. I want to go back here. So what I would do is, let's say, for example, I don't necessarily want to start something from scratch. I just click on class.
We have a couple questions here. So, how about those that
Absolutely.
work in the office? There's no way to social distance there, and that's a reference to hybrid. We
Oh,
go
let's
back
see.
to hybrid, or if we go back to hybrid model. Eric, can you say it again?
And if we can turn off mics, that'd be awesome too. Thank you. Okay, so here's a brand new site. It's a fresh template, right? So we have class name. Here's an overview, and what you can kind of notice just right away is that all of the basic elements are here. All right, so all of the basic elements to a site. You have an about me towards the bottom. You have resources, and actually at the very, very top, we have some basic links, right? Here's the home. Here's schedule, right? So if I clicked on schedule, and you can scroll down, this is all pre-made for you. Just fill in what you would like to actually fill in. There's a daily schedule. I really miss the schedule nowadays. And then we have, this particular site has an option for newsletter. And so there's a lot of different things. Actually, if you notice here, these are different like locations where you can actually input something from a Google Drive. So this is if you just wanted to start from a template. I'm just going to go back to sites here really quick. And I'm actually just going to show you first, before we just kind of start maybe looking at the different elements from scratch, I'm just going to show you something that I made for my own class, and maybe some of the different things that you can use for ideas for your own. So this is the site that I made for my class. I just called it Mr. Dietrich's website, or Mr. Dietrich's math class. I changed the background, and I had some links. I have 7th and 8th grade, because I teach 7th and 8th grade math. And then there's resources, right? So had also a little about me on the bottom too. So what I did is here's my resources. I made a separate site for resources for the 7th graders. Had some YouTube links on there, the syllabus, exact same thing. Essentially I copied it for the 8th grade. It's just that their schedule looks a little bit different, and we'll go into these little elements too. And then I have resources at the top, which is under construction. Okay, and so what we'll do is we'll kind of just dive into all the little different features and whatnot. But just I'll pause for a second, because I know it's I'm wondering if anyone has any questions so far, or somebody saying that they can't see the site. Are you guys seeing the site that I'm looking at right now, the Mr. Dietrich's math class? Okay, no.
Oh, we are seeing your Google Sites kind of drive page.
Okay, so let's do, then it must be like a new share then. Okay. Okay, how about now?
Yes, now we see Mr. Dietrich's math class.
Okay.
With the dark side.
With the dark side, absolutely. Okay, so I'll just go one more time. So I had all the little links just kind of, put up on here. This one I did not use from a template. This one here is something that I knew what kind of elements that I wanted on my website for my class. And I just started putting in things in there. So I have 7th grade here, 8th grade, resources, and 7th and 8th look exactly the same. They're identical. So I have a weekly schedule. I had class and Zoom recording. So things that we've already done and recorded, I actually had a place for them to actually like click on it and click on links. I had my YouTube tutorials that I did for them on there as well. And I had the course syllabus. So this is just it was like a quick sample of what that could look like here. But what we'll do is basically on the right side, there's a bunch of different options. That's what we're going to dive into. So what we'll basically do is we'll start a brand new website essentially, and look at the different little configurations that we can do. And we'll try to keep it in a very, very, very concise way. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. So knowing that, I have to like change the upload, the share screen to the different screens all the time here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is share this one. So now, okay, we should be on the screen that shows like my Google Drive of websites, right? Just want to make sure that we're all in the same spot. Okay. And I can't really see anybody right now. So Jen, we're in the right spot, right? That's like the Google Drive of sites.
Yes, we see start a new site and recent sites, classic,
Perfect.
miscellaneous, etc.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so very first thing to actually just start the website, I'm just gonna hit blank right here. So I click on that, and this gives you the very beginnings of your site. Now, what's kind of nice about this is that it already gives you somewhat of a template to work with, and they make it very simple to have your site. So I'm just gonna call this one Sweet Stuff with Sites. So we're making a title, right? So this will be something that the kids or parents or whoever your viewers are, this is what they're gonna see first. Now, if you notice on the right-hand side is gonna be like your main navigation. All of your features are gonna appear on the right-hand side. So we have text box, if you wanna add text box, and I'm looking under the insert tab, right? There's 3 main tabs. All of the stuff that's under insert, we can actually insert into the site. And so we'll get into pages and themes here in just a second, but we can insert from text boxes to an item from Google Drive. And what's really nice about Google Sites is because it has that Google integration, you can literally embed anything that you want into your Google site if it's from Google Drive. And if I scroll down a little bit here on the right side, here are a bunch of more options. So you can add collapsible text, a table of contents, an image carousel, which is one of those things where if you have several images, it'll actually kind of go around. So there's a lot of really cool components that you can add literally just by dragging and dropping. Dividers, buttons, placeholders, literally putting in YouTube videos, calendars. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. Okay, so the very first thing that I'm going to probably do is, if you're kind of like me, most people, before I do anything else with the site, I want to make the site my own. I want that personal feeling with the site. So I'm going to go over here to this third tab, which is themes. So if I click on themes, I have a select, it's like what, 1, 2, there's a few of them. There's different things that you can add to your site. So right now it's defaulted to simple. But if you look on the screen, this is what Aristotle looks like. Here's Diplomat, and if you notice, it's changing the backgrounds with it too, along with the different fonts. Here's Vision, that one's actually kind of cool. Level and Impression. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick with this last one for a second, and if you notice on the very bottom, once you select your theme, you have some additional options too. So if you notice, there's red on the underneath Sweet Stuff with Sites. Well, if I can change the theme, actually kind of like site-wide too. I can change it to yellow or green or this grayish color, or I can even go in and just start selecting, playing around with any kind of color that I want. And I can even change the font style. So right now it's on capital, but I can change it to frank, or I can change it to narrow. So this kind of like sets the tone for the rest of your site. All right, so before we kind of get into anything else, I'm going to move into that last and center tab, which is called Pages. So right now we have something called the home page. It is the default page, right? So let's say if I'm making a class website, and just say for right now, I'm going to be teaching 7th grade math, right? What I can do is I can have the main site here, and what I can also do is if I want a space just for 7th grade, I can, if you look over here, there's a little plus button. I can add a new page, or I can add kind of like an external link to something else. But if I want to add a new page, I'm just going to call it 7th grade. I'll just call it 7th grade math. I'll hit done. Now what that does is under pages, it adds a separate page. So this tells me I have 2 pages now on my site. But what's something else that's cool is that on the upper hand side of the page here on the header, it actually included the link to 7th grade math. And actually I can do it again. Let's say if I click that little plus button, and I'll do 8th grade math, because some people actually have multiple preps. So there's home, 7th grade math, 8th grade math. And so what I can do now, what this did is that so if I click on home, I'm here in home. If I click on 7th grade math, I'll go to a new page. So if you notice what happened here, here's home here. It says Sweet Stuff with Sites. I click on 7th grade math. My color scheme is the same, but it says 7th grade math. I can change the title if I want. And here's also 8th grade math. All right, and I was kind of opening up the questions here. Let's see, can the new pages have a different color scheme? That's a good question. Actually, you know, I never really played around with that too much, but we can definitely try it out. So let's say if I'm on 7th grade math and I go to themes, let's just make this yellow. Let's see what happens. Okay, so 7th grade is that. Okay, so if it's a theme, it's site-wide. So that answers our question. Okay. Let's see, any other questions before we move on to this next part here? Oh, yep, that's absolutely right, Edie. So Edie was saying, but you can add an image and that will change the heading. That is absolutely correct. That's actually one of the things that we're going to be getting into is kind of like your header. So actually, so since we're there, let's just kind of start with that. So let's say that I'm on my main site, right? I'm on home. Now, here's the thing. I can hover over literally like any part of the website. So I'm hovering over home. And on the bottom left-hand side here, there's change image and there's header type. So kind of like what Edie was saying, I can actually click on change image and I can either upload an image from my computer or I can select an image. Now, the only thing with that is, and this is kind of the cool thing about sites, is on the upper header here, this little icon, it looks like a computer and a cell phone, and it's a preview button. Now, what this is actually, this is so cool. I'm excited, but this is so cool. This allows you, Google Sites allows you to create a responsive website. So what that means is that when you click on this link, so if I click on it, okay, this is what the website currently looks like on a computer. And I can see that because of the little icons down here. So I have 3 different icons. Right now I'm on a computer screen. The center one means this is what it's going to look like on a tablet. So everything kind of shrunk down a little bit. And then finally, and this last one is actually really what I try to cater to, because more often than not, people are going to be accessing this website from this last one, which is a cell phone. This is actually how your website would look like on a cell phone. So what I'll do here is, and this is actually right to Edie's point, I'm going to share back to my other site, and just to kind of double check so I don't have to repeat myself. You guys can see my math website now, right? We're good?
Yes, we see 7th grade weekly schedule.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so this is just kind of going to Edie's point of changing the background. So if I preview this website, okay, so this is what my background image looks like on a computer. But if on a tablet, so you see how kind of like, if you look between the two, it like shrunk. And then here's even cell phones, and it shrinks even more. So if you notice, like I completely lost all the stuff on the side, the pencils and rulers from computer to phone, that's all gone. So what I had to do is I had to just design my header to make sure that my little Bitmoji was in the center, so that it was just there the whole time. But that's kind of one of the really cool things about Google Sites, is that you can literally build a responsive website, and it'll show you, it'll preview for you all that you can do on your website. Okay, and I'm going back to question, just checking out chat. Okay. All righty, so going back here, it's a lot of flipping around. Okay. Okay, so back with the sweet stuff with sites. So I'm just gonna exit out of here. Now we're just gonna play around a little bit with the different elements. So here's a couple things. Now what you can do is, this is your site. So what I'm gonna do is, let's say that I wanted to have this first site, the very beginnings, just be an introductory site, right? I don't wanna show maybe resources just there, just yet. I'm gonna save those for the links at the top, right? So this first one is just gonna be an introduction. So what I can do is on the right-hand side, there's an option for layouts. So right now there's kind of like 6 different layouts that you can choose from. You can have a picture with some text, a couple pictures, 3 pictures, 4 pictures, whatever you would like, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pick this first one. And here's the cool thing about sites. I can just literally click on it and it sets it up right for me right underneath the header. And what I can do is I can even add something else. If I want to add, let's say the 2 pictures, right? I click on that and it adds it right below that. So one of the other things too is on the side are options. There's these little multiple dots that let you grab onto this particular section, and you can literally just click and drag up. Like you can swap places. So anything on the Google site, you can literally just rearrange it however you would like. But let's say I want this first one, let's say I want that back up there. So I'll put it back up. And the first thing I can look at is a section background. Let's say we have a section, right? And because if you notice right now, they both have white backgrounds. Let's say if I want this first section to stand out a little bit more, where I can click on the color palette to change the background. Now, when I do, there's a couple different options. So there's regular, which it is right now. There's emphasis, which makes the background slightly darker. Emphasis 2, which makes it yellow, or depending on what your theme is, right? And then there's an option to actually put an image that you can upload. So I'm just going to play around with it just so you guys can see it. So this is regular, right? Here is emphasis. So if you notice, it's the background is slightly darker. And then emphasis 2. This is kind of like someone who goes onto your website and you just want, bam, like right in your face, I want you to look at me, right? So this is definitely for that. Okay, so these are the different elements that you can add. And one of the cool things that I'm going to do here is I use this one a lot. So this one over here, the one with the 4 pictures, I use that a lot for if I want to add some YouTube videos and whatnot. So I'll just click on that. And what's nice is that it has all these little placeholders that you can use. So you can click on one of these, and I can either click on one of the plus buttons. I can either upload something, I can select an image, I can select something from Google Drive, I can select a YouTube video, a calendar, a map. Like you can do so much stuff on here. It's so cool. And you can even change the text underneath it. So let's say, okay, this is gonna be my YouTube video. Here's my map, and here's a calendar. And what was else here? Here's a PDF file that we're gonna do. And we can just literally pick whatever file you like from that. You can even drag and drop from your computer. Okay, and one of the neat things about sites, and this is kind of when we get into the what you see is what you get bit, is just like how these different sections are adjustable, like you can move them up and down, the elements inside the sections are also customizable. So what I mean by that is, so if you take a look at this last segment that I put in, I can select sections, and right now they get outlined in blue. But what I can do is I can click and hold. I'm clicking and holding, and what I can do is I can trade sections. I can move these around too. So all of this is actually really customizable. Okay. I can add some, going down just the list of features so that you can do. A big thing that I use for sites is this thing called divider. It's just a very nice way to separate out a section when you're looking at it. So if I go up here to preview, right, hit my preview button. So right now, this is what it looks like on a computer. Here's what it'll look like on a tablet. And then here's what it's going to look like on a cell phone. Now, what it typically does is you just have to kind of be conscientious of this, is if you do use the segments with multiple pictures, and here's one with 4 pictures, right? On a cell phone, it's going to stack them vertically. So whatever you have, you're just going to just be aware of that. So here's my map, my calendar, PDF. What's really cool about sites is that you can literally, like I'll put my syllabus on there. I'll put our week's schedule on there, right? So that when a student or a parent goes there, they can see right away for any class, any grade level that I'm teaching, like, okay, here's the syllabus, right? Here's some YouTube video tutorials that I'm able to upload and share to students and parents. Okay, let me go back. Now what I'm gonna do is kind of show you what that divider is. So I have like this, like, bam, like this yellow thing right here. And if that wasn't like a dividing feature enough, I can click and drag that divider. I click on it. There we go. And there it is. It makes this little white divider, and the color will change depending on what theme you use. And if you don't want that divider there, you can also remember you can click and drag this one down if you want, and this little blue part pops up to show you where that divider is going to land. So if you notice, this divider is yellow because the background is white. But if I put this back up to the top, the divider turns white because the background is yellow. So it's really neat in how that kind of works. Okay, so I'm just looking at the different features on the side. A lot of these, we're not going to go to all of them in depth. Like, you can definitely play around with these on your own. But one of the features that I thought was just really cool was the ability for Google Sites to be able to embed Google Forms in there, to be able to embed Google Docs, and to be able to embed Google Slides in here. And what I mean by that is, actually, we'll just show you. And I think, me personally, I haven't asked anybody, but I think one of the reasons why maybe teachers don't use Google Sites is it's one extra thing that you have to remember to update. And I have to go in there and I have to then, click the publish button, right? I have to save my changes, all that kind of stuff. And I really don't want to deal with that. But there's actually a way, and actually if you had made it to a couple of Ben's sessions, he was showing what he did too, is he actually embedded his slides, because he has a set of Google Slides that shows his Kinder Rockets the updated, what they're going to do, the agenda for the day, right? And he sends that all the time. Now, what's nice about that is that the only place, once your site is all set up, the only place that you actually need to make changes is that one Google slide, because then sites will update automatically. And let me show you what that means. So I'm just going to go back to my site. Okay, so if I'm here, I'm back on my 7th grade website here. And I'll show you how all that embedding stuff works. Now, before maybe I jump into that, just want to double check just to see if in the chat, if there are any kind of questions, or if anyone has any questions right now. I'll pause just a quick second so someone can ask anything.
Paula, how do you feel about people unmuting and asking questions?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We have a pretty small group, so I think it's okay.
Yes. Okay, so it looks like we are good to go so far. All right, so let me show you what I did on my site. Now, this is kind of like the little thought process that I had, and I want to share this with you because I think I kind of reached some stumbling blocks, and this was a really good way for me to kind of brainstorm how I was going to go through this. So on my site, clicking on 7th grade, if I scroll down a little bit, I have my weekly schedule. Now this was just, if you actually look over here, what I use, it was one of these. I just inserted a picture. It's literally like one of these little segments. I put it in here and I just changed up the weekly schedule, the text and whatnot. Literally, I just probably added a text box and an image, right? So if I click on text box, it probably kind of, sometimes it pops up randomly, but, and then text box here, I typed in like weekly schedule. This is how I just made that first part. I just selected it. I made it a title. Then I centered it. And then like right underneath it, I added an image, and I can upload something. And that's how I uploaded this one image here. what's actually good to know too is just on the side right before we do the embedding is on any of these segments, if you look, there's two more icons we haven't talked about, right? So we talked about sectioning, the backgrounds. We can duplicate a section, and then there's delete. So let's say if I don't want this, I'll just delete it. So it's gone. Okay, so what we can do is I went down to Zoom recordings, right? So here's my thought process. I wanted a way on my Google site for all of my students and parents to be able to view, like even from weeks ago. I wanted them to be able to see what all the weekly assignments were. So if we did like one assignment a week, I wanted them to be able to see that. So if I click on up here, once everything is done, right? When you do done with all your amendments, there's a button up here that says publish. You just click on publish. Any kind of changes, it'll show you first, and then you just click on publish. Now what I can do is on that same button under publish options, I can view the published site. So this is actually what it looks like on the internet, right? So what I wanted to do was under the classwork and Zoom recordings, I wanted to have a list of all of the assignments, all of the Zoom recordings, and just for the kids to be able to go back, the kids and the parents to go back to see each week and to be able to look at what was due and click on a Zoom link to view that recording. And what I was looking at was like, wow, like if I actually go back to this site, right? If I do that, this website is going to be so long. If I do week by week, it'll be incredibly long. And I didn't want to do that. So what I did is I embedded, and this is one of the really cool things, I embedded a Google Doc. That's what this thing is here. So on the website, if you look, once you scroll down, it's just a Google Doc. And I can actually scroll within the website. So what was nice, and this goes back to the part where like I'm a teacher, I don't have to worry about, updating another website, like all that kind of stuff. The only thing that I needed to do on a regular basis was just update this one Google Doc, and the website updated itself. So I can go back from April, right? I go back from April, all those weeks, and I can just include that. And it wasn't actually until I saw Ben's his session that there's a better way to do this. And I got this from Ben. You learn something new every day. So what he did, and I like this way better because it's cleaner, right? I'll just do it on the very bottom. What he did this very similarly, except he used a Google Slides. And if you notice, sometimes depending on maybe what you're looking at the website on, it might get the scrolling might get a little weird, all that kind of stuff. But what I can do is I can actually embed something. So let's say if I wanted to embed, right? So here's an embed. Now this is for different things. You can embed is like, this is usually for like code, right? But what I want to do is, actually I wanted this one. Going down on my list of options, there's a feature for slides. And this is kind of like what he did. So I'm going to click on slides. I'm actually just going to click on the presentation. Here's my presentation. I click on the presentation that you want, click on insert, and it inserts this kind of, so right now it inserted at the bottom. And remember how kind of like last time, you can click and drag this and put it on wherever part of the site that you want. I can change the background to this thing. Let's say if I make this emphasis, like, oh, I really want you guys to look at this part, right? It defaulted to this kind of like half segment sized thing. What I can do though is click on the slide and I can drag it. And this is another really cool thing about sites, that if you've done websites with HTML before, this was a pain. Like you had to do into width equals quotation marks and set a certain amount of pixels, like you had to do like some coding. But what's so nice about this is that I can just literally just drag and change the size at will. I can even drag it vertically. So what I can do now is I've made a change, right? So I added some slides. what I want to do now, because I'm going to publish, but I'm only going to publish because I made changes to the site. So if I hit publish, it's going to show me my draft versus what's currently published. So if I look all the way down at the bottom, I scroll down on both sides, the draft has the new stuff, the currently published does not, right? So I'm going to hit on publish. And now when I go to the site, there's my refresh. It'll show the slides. So I go all the way down to the bottom, and here are the slides. Now this is what's really cool. This is actually what I loved about Ben's way of doing this is in slides is so much easier to edit and add and delete and all that kind of stuff. And let's say, for example, each slide represented what you wanted to do for a specific week or for a specific day, right? So what's nice about this is that it's so much more clean. I can click on this and let's say here's another slide. This could be a different day, right? So there's a little icon up here too. You can open the presentation. It's the same thing with the docs. It'll open up a separate presentation for you. But one of the really cool ways that I found of making sure you can help kids and parents stay organized is having either, depending on what you do for elementary or if you're in secondary, you can either do a day-by-day, kind of like what Ben was doing, a day-by-day update. Or if you just want to do like a weekly update, so like for example, like on a Sunday afternoon, you want to just upload something on a change to your site, to your slides to give your parents an update of what you're going to do for that following week. You can just make a change to your slide, and what's neat is that you don't have to do that whole process of clicking publish again. Everything just stays the same. All of your initial setups stay the same, and your slide that's embedded into your site is the one that changes. All right, so I think there's some stuff on the chat here. Let's see. Let's see, is the site public? Wondering if you post your recording class Zooms. Okay, yeah, very, very good question. What I did is I had kind of like initially just in my mind, in my mindset, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be someplace where I'm going to house student information, right? So at the moment, it was really limited to only people that could access it that were in the Gonzales unified like domain, so the school district's domain. You can open it up to anyone who has the link. The only thing with that is, and this is actually the reason why I kept it as Gonzales only, is because I did have this section here. If I scroll down, like I did have links to the Zoom meetings, and the Zoom meetings were just, videos that I had on Google Drive. And in those Zoom meetings, you saw faces of kids and the names of the kids. And that's something that I did want to do. So you can make it public, absolutely. Just kind of be aware of what's on your website before you do. And the neat thing about the whole slides and embedding is that you saw how it worked with slides, but you can do the exact same thing with forms. Like what's really neat, like if you need to get some feedback from parents, you can actually embed a Google form onto the site if you like. So you don't have to worry about parents getting confused about going to this link for a form, this link to a website, this link to a slide. You can embed everything into one site, and then parents can it's like an all-in-one for parents. Okay. I am kind of getting to a close here. So this is what I'll do. Here's your last tidbit. Now this is kind of neat here too. Another question was, does using Google Forms work as sort of contact me section? That's actually a really cool way of doing it. Yep, you can. So what you can do literally, and we'll just do it to this site. Under pages, I just go to add a new site where it says new page. Click on that. Contact me. I was writing contact me. And okay, so if you notice, contact me it popped up in the middle. For whatever reason, popped in the middle. Just like the little segments on the right-hand side, you can click and drag the order that you would like your sites to show up. So I want contact me to be at the end, so I'm just going to drag it to the end. And what you can do, yes, Jessica, is then here you can actually, so create a contact me Google form and then embed the form right into the site. And then parents, and just like the slide, you can readjust how big and wide you want the form, but then your parents or students, they can actually just fill out the form right there on the Google site. Okay, so there's so much stuff. We're running out of time, but there's so much stuff. Okay, three last things. Okay, this is really cool. So if you look on the header, right? The header has home, 7th grade, 8th grade resources, and now contact me. Let's say, for example, I wanted to do something. I'll just show you. It's hard to explain with all this excitement. I want to do something different with 7th grade. Let's say, for example, I click on 7th grade, but I want different resources for 7th grade, maybe under 7th grade. Now, if you look on the right-hand side here, there's these little dots. There's some options. So if I click on that, I can click on add subpage. Now, what's neat about this is if I click on add subpage, I might have something that says, oh, I don't know, homework, right? Okay, I'll add homework. And let's see if I go up here again, I'll add another subpage. I'll call it, oh, I don't know, Zoom meetings. Kind of opposite what I was doing before, but just for the purposes of this. And then, I don't know, let's just do, okay, resources. Okay, so now I had 3 sub pages. Now, if you look at 7th grade, you can check out what happened. There's this little down arrow. And so if you don't want like this, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 links across the top, you can actually have a sub page which makes a little arrow, and now you have a sub menu for that particular section of your site. And I was like, wow, like you could do so much of like really cool things with this. If you were working on something, like you want something set up, but you don't want it displayed yet, over here, you can just click on hide from navigation, and it keeps everything so you can work on it, but it doesn't show up. So it's kind of like an under construction site, right? So we have that. The other things at the top, like this is something where like on the very, very top, you see this white bar. It doesn't have to be that white bar. I can go up here to where it says, actually, I think it's under settings. Settings is actually a really cool thing. Navigation top, or I can do navigation side. Okay, navigation side means now when I preview it, my menu is all on the left side. It's not on the top anymore. And I can just view the whole page. So, but I kind of like it as just menu on the top side. I can, on this little white strip on the top, I can change it from white. I can change it to black if I want to. Or I can change it to transparent if I don't want any kind of color at all. But I'll stick with white because I love this little Darth Vader thing right there. You can include brand images, right? If you have a little classroom logo that you want, like how I did over here on the side, you can include that. A fave, I think, how do I pronounce it? Favicon. That's actually those little images that you see on the websites. Oh, this is what I'm kind of getting into too. The announcement banner. So this is in settings. The very bottom is something called announcement banner. This is really neat. This is something that when you go to the website, a little announcement banner will appear on the top. So let's say, okay, I'm gonna hit show banner, a banner color. Okay, let's make it important. It's gonna be red, right? Hello, this is hello. Let's keep it like that. Hello test, right? Okay, and I'm gonna keep it there. This is what pops up. So when I go and I check it out, let me just hit publish so we can just do that here, so we can check it out. So when I go to the view publish site, it not only just shows the site, but it has this little red strip on the top. It's an announcement banner. So you could actually have something on there that says, hey, there's a test tomorrow. Hey, parents, make sure you fill out this certain form. I need it back from you, right? Then you can literally put everything up there that you want. Okay, we're actually heading into the close. You know, there's so much more that you could do with this. It's absolutely incredible. So let me go back to a different share. Go back to I think I have it here. And all right. let's see. Jen, are we looking at my slides now?
Yes, we are seeing thank you, Twitter, email.
Perfect. All right. So that's actually, we're coming to this basically a close here. I just wanted to thank you guys for coming so much. Apologies again for not getting this Zoom link out sooner to you. It was a little bit of a crazy day between, well, multiple things. But my contact information is there. That little bit.ly link on the bottom is for a Google form. It's actually the same feedback form that we had at the beginning. So if there's maybe what were some takeaways or what things could be improved. Well, I don't know. One thing that can be improved is I need to send out the Zoom link a day earlier. Or maybe what are maybe some follow-up things that you would like to see if you want to dive in deeper with some of the features. If you can submit that, that'd be great. That one little picture on the far right side, these are the sessions that are coming up for tomorrow and actually for Friday as well. So Thursdays is actually going to be using Google Suite to communicate with families. That's going to be done by Krista Bradley and Laura Carey. This Friday, we also have communicating progress, generating parent reports. We also have a parent engagement Q&A that's happening on Friday at 6 p.m. And if you can make it, we would love to see you on Monday, July 27th for our affiliate meetup. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm going to hang around in the chat for a little bit more if you have any additional questions.
So those of you that have been coming to several of our meetings, of our mini series here, if you have questions for any of our presenters, they will all be here, as well as several other MBQ people will be here on that question and answer on Friday.
I'm just kind of checking out the chat. You guys are very, very welcome. Thank you so much. All these sessions, all this stuff is not possible without you guys kind of like coming in here and helping bring the stuff back to your school. I did stop sharing, but if anyone would like me to go back to that screen, I definitely can. All right, let's see. Jen, looks like, and you can go ahead and stop recording there too.